My name is Travis Merriweather,
Yeah.
and I'm here to really just cover my book report on the story Scenes from My Life from Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams was one of the men that was either ahead of their time or really just behind the times. All about, perspective. His mother was Dominican. His family was more of a group of hard men. So, in the eyes of Michael K. Williams' mother, he had two options. He could go and join the army or pick up a career that works with his hands. Those was the parameters of success that was given to Mr. Williams. However, Mr. Williams chose a third option.
No.
He chose the arts. Mr. Williams was infatuated by the Rhythm Nation, a dance group by Janet Jackson. Being that he was infatuated, he would practice day and night, bothering his mother, and just practicing his dance moves. And that was the thing that got him by for a time. Mr. Williams' descent into drug abuse started as any wholesome type of thing. He started with a friend. He ended up going through the regular trajectory of drug abuse. First off, he smoked marijuana. He engaged in drinking. Then eventually got into heroin and cocaine. Then graduated to heroin.
No.
Mr. Williams fit those old stereotypes from black men. His father was at the home.
No.
He was in the streets. And even though his mother tried to go and protect him from the exposure
No.
and the roughness of the streets, eventually the streets came calling. So Michael would hang out with friends. He discovered himself in dance. However, it would be a long time before he went ahead and got discovered. During his early 20s, he ended up getting into a fight and ended up getting a $150 across his face. Now, $150 is where someone takes a razor blade and cuts you, and it requires 150 stitches to fix. It's a slang term. With that cut, Mr. Williams' modeling and dancing career was finished. But it did start something else. He ended up getting his first role because of his cut. They said that his cut made him look more, thuggish, more roguish. So, Mr. Williams was cast into the hard roles. One of his first roles was in Tupac's Bullet. Then he graduated to The Wire. And he also starred in Boardwalk Empire. With all these accomplishments, you would think that Mr. Williams would enjoy his success, that he would be happy, that drugs would not be anywhere near him, because you don't need anything that's going to make you happy with, multi-million-dollar deals. But Mr. Williams was suffering from trauma, childhood trauma. The $150 that he caught across his face. He would go into places and always look for the doors and exits. He had PTSD. And Mr. Williams would self-medicate that trauma with heroin. Now, it's important to know that heroin is one of them type of drugs that goes hand in hand with polysubstance abuse. Because the stimulation from heroin is so intense that most people need something else to go and slow the intensity down. It would only make sense the reasons why Michael K. Williams would go broke, even though having so many deals. So let me go ahead and add into this a few of the things for withdrawal. Within the first few days after using, the user will sleep all day to really just ward off the symptoms. No big deal. Within 1 week, cravings will return, and the user will have a lack of desire to do anything. Within 2 to 4 weeks, the cravings get so strong that the user experiences depression. And 2 to 4 weeks is where withdrawal is at its strongest. And one of the reasons why is because of a sensitivity to dopamine. The user's dopamine supplies get depleted. Dopamine is the thing that really just inspires mood, movement, hunger, any type of thing that's, physical. The dopamine supplies is the inspiration for that. It's a learning complex, or the learning chemical, because your brain associates certain things with survival, and with that survival, it's more advantageous for you to learn the signals of survival. For example, if I'm thirsty and I hear water, I know to go to that water source. If I'm hungry and I hear signs of food, something frying, something, mashing, mashed potatoes or something like that, any type of thing that, inspires food, I'm going toward that. Knowing the signs and symptoms of that, the brain hijacks itself, or it kind of tricks itself into, now my survival is this drug. So the people that I'm around, the environment that I'm in, the, any type of thing that's associated with that drug, now that person is no longer thinking about food or water. They're thinking about the drug. And when it comes down to that type of level of commitment to, drugs or addiction, people do anything. They will go ahead and cut off family, friends, anyone trying to help them. And it's not, even though we do take it personal, it's not something that's going to be taken personal, because in a way that's not them. That's a desperate version of them, but it's not really them in its entirety. Their brain has been hijacked into, survival. And survival is desperate. Furthermore, Michael K. Williams started his drug abuse in his early teens. So in your early teens, your brain is just forming. The neurochemistry is just now firing. So what you're doing is you're introducing a foreign substance, an addictive substance, and you're introducing it far longer than what you've been alive. Teen years is one of them type of things that all your brain chemistry is just rerouting itself, and now you're adding another drug into it. So Mr. Williams wasn't giving himself any type of favors on that. So it's no wonder that his addiction was lifelong. Despite his achievements, he still struggled with addiction until his death. So Mr. Williams died at the age of 54 from fentanyl-laced heroin. And fentanyl-laced heroin is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. As a matter of fact, they made it to treat cancer patients. It's added to heroin to increase the potency. And what happens during a heroin overdose is that the client's diaphragm is paralyzed. That person falls asleep and is no longer able to breathe and usually suffocates. A few of the signs of fentanyl is slow breathing, relaxation, nausea, vomiting, sweating, and overdose. Mr. Williams in his book described leaving his experience as breadcrumbs, things that the younger generation could go in and take from and learn from. He wasn't afraid of his mistakes. He wasn't afraid to really just put his mistakes out there for other people to learn from. So the reason why I thought that this was a pretty good book was because it was open, honest. He was quick to let people know, despite his fame and his position, this man met the president, and the president was his biggest fan. But despite all that, Mr. Williams was flawed. The first time that he met the president, he was so high to the point where he couldn't even respond to the president's compliments of him. He was later able to really just get a better hold of himself in another meeting that he had with the president to advertise his organization, Make Kids Win. Make Kids Win is an organization or a community-funded effort to really just help children in a minority community to really just be part of community programs. Little boys and little girls can now go ahead and discount where they started and focus on the journey of where they're going. And it's people like Michael K. Williams that really just make that chain of thought possible. A dancer that turned model. A model that turned actor. And an actor that turned into a humanitarian. Doesn't that just seem like a dream? A dream all modeled by the scenes of his life. This is my reading of Scenes of My Life from Michael K. Williams.